Thank you for having me. This is actually the second time I've been here, and the group was equally as wonderful. So I am thrilled. And I always start my presentations by saying I was born a nurse, I morphed into a nurse educator, and I'm reborn as a Feng Shui consultant. So my journey started as I was a school nurse in Newton, and there was a group of us of nurses, and we worked. There was a special needs program, and the presenter canceled, and they panicked. What are we going to do? The children. It was a professional day. The children were off, so people decided that they were going to have folks get up and talk about what they did in their spare time. Well, one woman got up and talked about how she jogged 10 miles a day because she was preparing for the Boston Marathon, which didn't sound very relaxing to us. Other people got up and talked about various things, and this woman got up and talked about Feng Shui, and we thought, wow. And she gave a little handout, and we took the handout. There's 3 of us in the office, took the handout and started to sort of follow along with that, the handout. And one of the things we noticed was that the children seemed to, as a school nurse, you want them not to linger in the nurse's office, right? So, so we noticed that with a different pattern in how we sort of move things around the office, that the children calmed down quicker and left quicker. And so it was really interesting how that worked out. And then I got very, very passionate about Feng Shui, started working on my own home, and found that program down in Connecticut. And so my journey started in 2009, and it continues through doing presentations like this, education, consultations, and as much as I can share, as I'm going to share with you, 4,000 years worth of information, and I have about an hour and a half to catch you up. So I do talk fast. There's a lot of information on the slides. I'm just going to just say, sit back and enjoy the ride. It really is just going to be should be a lot of fun. So what you're here what you're here for is to learn about cleaning the Feng Shui way. Well, it's really what you're going to learn a lot about is sort of how to declutter. You're going to learn a lot about Feng Shui, but you're also going to learn about decluttering. And then we'll talk a little bit about downsizing. Are there any downsizers here? Yeah. Well, you're all downsizers. I just want you to know. We'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, I do not keep a list of names, so if you need to contact me, I do have my business card and cards in the back. There's a lot of information on that slide. If you didn't bring paper and pencil, if you just remember the slide, just email me, and I will be happy to send you whatever slide you need to have. So one of the first things to appreciate about Feng Shui, besides the fact that it's 4,000 years old, is that it's pronounced Feng Shui. Sometimes I get calls about my Feng Shui, which makes me feel like the Chinese restaurant. Right. And Feng Shui literally means in Chinese wind and water. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what that has to do with Feng Shui. And really, it's an energetic design plan. So what that means is that everything in your house, everything that you surround yourself with, has a meaning, and there's a greater plan for it. So if you think about all the stuff that you have in your house, are you really connected to all that stuff in some way? And how are we going to be able to let some of that go? Your space should look good and feel good. I'm a nurse. I'm not a designer. And I don't play one on TV. But I can look at any design magazine, open it up, and tell you immediately that there was not a Feng Shui person involved in this design. Inevitably. So how do we, and you know this, you go to somebody's house and you walk in and you immediately feel comfortable, right? And some people, you walk into their house and you think, this feels like my dentist office. I can't get out of here fast enough, right? Now, everything's based on intention, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that means. But if you want people to come to your house to linger you know, enjoy themselves, relax, then you need to set your home up for that. You need to set a very clear intention. So the woman that called me and said, you know, we moved into this apartment, we really would love to have more friends, more gatherings, and when I went to their house, her house literally, all the chairs looked exactly like this, like rows, like it was if they were in science class. It's not a draw for folks. If they came to the house, they would just be watching television or the game. You can apply Feng Shui to any space. We started out using our desks. We all had little desks, and we literally Feng Shuied our desks, our phone. You can Feng Shui your car, your house, your office, your bedroom. You can Feng Shui your city, your town. They say you can Feng Shui the world. Wouldn't that be nice, huh? If everything just was... So wind and water. Feng Shui is wind and water. And you know wind can be very powerful. Gale force winds, everything's blowing around, trees are blowing. Well, in Feng Shui, you want to feel comfortable in your space, and that's not comfortable. And also, wind can be so still that it feels very, I'm going to use stagnant for a word, just stifling. And the opposite is with water. Water can be so still and deep, which is not necessarily good. And also, there can be so much water that you're drowning or feel like you're drowning in that water. So the idea is to balance this wind and the water energy, or qi. We talk a lot about qi. Energy rides on the water and flows through the trees, and that's what you're looking for through your life. You really balance. So wind and water. So that's what you want. Good Feng Shui. If somebody says you have good Feng Shui, means that you have balance and clarity in your environment. You know exactly what's going on in that environment. When you come to the library, you know exactly the environment. It's going to be calm, you hope, right? It's going to be calm. It's going to be open for what you're learning. There's chairs, comfortable chairs, lovely gift baskets that you can wrap for the raffle, right? So that's the environment. So let me tell you a little bit about what Feng Shui is all about. Feng Shui started in China about 4,000 years ago, as I said. And it has sort of grown, it sort of has taken some, on some of the different cultures, folklore, religious, cultural patterns of the Chinese culture. So there's no one Feng Shui. There's no, like, there's traditional Feng Shui, and that gets me to the schools. But let me first start. It actually started where the royalty, Chinese royalty, were looking for the best place to bury their ancestors. They had to be in a good, because you didn't want them to come back and haunt you, right? So you needed to put them in a place that they were happy. And so they always looked for the place that might be on a, not too high on a mountainside, but maybe on a mountainside, never near the water. You wouldn't want the water to be agitating the remains. So there was a lot of thought put into where folks were buried. And that's really where it started, and it was it was through royalty. Common people did not practice Feng Shui. Only the royal, I'm going to say royalty did. So it's only been through the last few years, especially only 20 years here in the United States, where sort of the secrets of Feng Shui have started to emerge. It's so secretive that there are books out there, and I have a list. There are books out, and it's very basic Feng Shui. But if I want to know some of the deeper cures, I have to go travel to a Feng Shui master, and it's only through spoken word that I get some deeper, more meaningful cures for Feng Shui. So there's a lot to it in depth and the breadth of what Feng Shui is. There are three traditional schools of Feng Shui. There's the compass school, which is what most Chinese folks practice because it's based on your birth date, the year you were born, the time you were born, and it's compass oriented. So it's either your direction, your best direction, or most auspicious direction might be north or south or southeast, whatever. So So, and that's based on a time. So the other type is land form Feng Shui, and land form is more about space, place than the time you were born. So place is just what we talked about, land form being where's the best place to put a burial site, a pagoda, a family home, a farm. So that's land form. The type of Feng Shui that I practice, I must be lying. The type of Feng Shui that I practice is based in Buddhism. It's not a Buddhist practice. I'm not Buddhist, but there's a lot of meditation and intentionality to what we do as a Buddhist-style Feng Shui consultant. We don't use a compass. We use what's called the Bagua, and I have one that's up there. And we start out by asking, what are your wishes and desires? Is your desire to have a clean, uncluttered home? Is your desire to have a relationship? A new job? More money? So we start there. And from there, then we go to work. I mean we, like you and me, because that's what it takes. Other traditional consultants might say, you leave the house, when you come back, I'm going to have everything Feng Shui. It doesn't work that way. I'm going to work with you, and we're going to learn about how your home reflects you. Your home it's a story. Your home tells a story. Does it tell the story that you want it to tell? Is it who you are today? If you're still holding on to your kids' soccer and swimming statues or trophies, talk to me. It's okay to get rid of those. So I'm a nurse, so of course we cure things, right? So a lot of the work that we do in Feng Shui is sometimes you need to cure, sometimes you just need to show respect or reflect a certain area. So there are different levels that we work with and work on. There are some myths about Feng Shui. It is not a religion. It's not witchcraft, although I am from Salem, Mass. Woo-hoo, shout out for Salem. It is not mystical in any way. It is really, you're going to see, it's common sense. It's just, it's another pair of eyes. I have Feng Shui vision for what's going on in your space, which you don't have yet. So what are the 9 life areas? So this is what we call the Feng Shui map. It's called the Bagua. It's got lots of different names. David Kennedy in his book calls it the Feng Shui octagon. So it's what we use as the compass or the overlay on your floor plan. So every single home is not perfectly square with 9 blocks for rooms, because that would make my life really easy if I was working with you. But we all have an area of prosperity. That's in the back left-hand corner of your house, based on your front door, based on the true front door, architectural front door. You have a fame and reputation area. Fame and reputation is how the world sees you. If you're starting up a new business, getting a new job, or running for office, you want to really look at that area in your home and what's going on there. Is there a bathroom there? Is there clutter in that area? So there's things there that really will block the good energies from moving through your home. Love and relationship. If you're in a business, that's your partnerships with your partners that you're working with. There's a children and creativity area. So if you have children issues, sometimes you can work in that area to kind of try to help figure things out. Health is in the center of your home, because without good health, none of that it all connects, right? But if you don't have good health, then you're not going to be able to nourish all those other areas. There's family, and that's ancestors too. Skills and knowledge. Your career is right, usually, I'll show you in a second, but your career, and then helpful people and travel. So this is set up so that the front door of your house usually is set up at the bottom. So the career area, if your front door is in the middle of your house, you're walking into the career area. Most houses, it's either career or if it's off to the side, which we're not going to get a lot into, but just appreciate that and whatever life problem you have, we can fit it into one of those 9 life areas. And that's where we start the work. So we don't necessarily have to feng shui your whole house. Sometimes we just go to that one area. So what's some of the intentional things that folks might use feng shui for? Sometimes you want to discover or rediscover a love connection, improve family relationships, take control of situations, feel more relaxed, less stress. Maybe you want to improve physical and mental health, clarity for a life problem. Sometimes you need increased recognition and respect, and that's where our back area is, fame and recognition. Maybe you want to improve your wealth and prosperity. Or as we say, you want to improve your money luck and garner support for helpful people. It's amazing in your life how many times people drop into your life and they're those little people that kind of just help you out in some way. Like the woman that says to me, you know, you really shouldn't park there because that lady's going to make you move. I said, thank you, helpful person in my life. And then I turned around and the gentleman that we were at a rest stop, and this older gentleman was getting in his car and his tire looked like it was half, you know, it needed some air. I think you need some air in that tire. Oh my goodness, thank you, thank you. So we're all helpful people in our lives, and we need them. But sometimes if you're feeling like there's a lack of helpful people, we can work on that, or you can work on that. So everything in Feng Shui is based on Qi. And Qi is energy. It's got lots of different names depending on sort of what you practice, if you're practicing holism. But everything is alive and connected. And what does that mean? When I walked into this room, there were a few people in the back that were getting everything ready. We started to get set up. Next thing you know, the lights go on. Everyone starts coming in, and the room is now alive. It's alive with your colors, with your good energy, with your eagerness to learn. That's good Feng Shui right there. That's energy that's just bursting with good appeal for everyone that's here. This is an important piece. The second and the third one sort of work together. And it's this, is that there were no roads and way back, you know, when they were learning Feng Shui or practicing Feng Shui. There were rivers. So most of the houses were built near rivers or farms, of course, where you needed lots of sun and the water source. So what Feng Shui uses as a water source is your road, like the road that comes down by your house. So sometimes if you live, and I've been to New Hampshire where it's over the river through the woods, and I'm thinking, wow, how do you call Qi to your home? So if it's coming down the road, how is it getting into your specific apartment, home, whatever? So are you literally calling out to Qi? So how do I do that? How do you do that? You say, I'm the home that has the great flag of the flowers in the front of my house, or I have beautiful baskets of flowers, or I have this particular tree. There's some way to draw energy. Where your eye goes is where your heart goes, and that's where Feng Shui goes. So it's all where your eye is being directed, and that's where the Qi is going. So if you live we lived in Burlington at some of the apartments for a short time. I don't have the picture here, but you know, you have that, the buzzer system, and I took red nail polish, and I put 27, we were like apartment 27, so I put little red nail polish on my buzzer. So when anyone came, I said, just look for the red nail polish, that's us. And they would say, oh, great. Now they have to look for number 27. So there are definitely different ways. Qi flows like water. Flows down. So you can have, too much qi. You're always looking for qi balance. And it can be positive or negative. And negative can be harmful qi. And you'll see as we go along what I mean by that. So this is just a good description of what qi looks like. That's going too fast. We call this, everything has a name. So it's rushing qi. And what this is the door, the front door of the home. And if you can see all the way through to the back of the home, then you may have some rushing qi. And so what's happening is that, remember we just learned about the Bagua, right? The 9 areas? So all these bottom areas are not getting their good complement of energy. So that would be stagnant areas. Remember, we learned about the 9 life areas. That might be family, children, health, depending on how things are situated. So you have to be really careful about where your qi is flowing. So and this is what you're looking for here. So qi just kind of floats along. It goes to all the different corners of your home, in the rooms. So how do you get to this point? If you're able to walk from your front door and you're walking through your home and you can easily get to the back door, you get pretty good qi flow. But if you get, especially some L-shaped homes, you get there and you're stuck, you got some stuck qi and you need to kind of work. This is where in Feng Shui we start talking about crystals and mirrors and all of that. So that's where it gets a little bit interesting. All right. Who has clutter? Be truthful. I know you do. We all do. 2 hands. Yeah, clutter's tough. There's so many books out these days on clutter. And I'm going to give you the Feng Shui perspective. But the Feng Shui perspective is, it suffocates us. We are literally just trying to breathe through all of our stuff, through our clutter. And remember, it all should mean something to us. Not everything in our home has a deep meaning and attachment right now, I'm sure. So, what do you think? That's actually a Feng Shui. If I go to your house, I usually go with my camera. That's actually a Feng Shui consultant's home. She knew she was stuck. That was her office. She was wondering why her business wasn't picking up. Makes you nervous, doesn't it?
Makes mine look good.
Awesome. How about your kitchen? Again, these are from the internet, really. If this is your kitchen, then it's on the internet. How about this? That's a quilting room or something. All right. So everyone has a thought and a feeling when you're looking at that. There's this visceral reaction to looking at that. So it makes people, there's a lot of research done, right? Anxious, depressed, frustrated, annoyed, hostile, resentful. You know why you're resentful? Because your friend, her house is looking pretty clean and yours is looking like... When you walk in your house, you want your house to give you a big energetic hug. The front door, I got to get back to that. A big energetic hug. If it's not giving you an energetic hug, something's wrong. It's not a happy house for you right now. It needs something. You should walk in your front door and go, oh, I'm home. And your house says, yeah, welcome. Come on in. I wish I could make a cup of coffee, but... Now, what I didn't mention before was the mouth of qi. There's only one mouth of qi in every single home, and that's your front door. We have not been good about using our front door, right? So your homework, from now on, it's like homework forever, is to use your front door at least once a day. All right? If you live in an apartment, the front door is the door to your actual space, the space that you're paying rent for. Not the building front door, but your front door. Okay, but if you live in a home and you're coming through the garage At least once a day, you're going to walk around, get the mail, go in the front door or open the front door and just say, what you're literally saying is, come on in, good chi. Come on into my house, nourish my house, the people that live there, and let's get to work. So there are different types of clutter. You have memory clutter, you know, really. Newspaper clippings, there's programs. I mean, it's okay if you want that stuff with you. It just needs to be organized, and it needs to be in, you know, in some sort of I call it harnessing the energy. Harness that energy and put it in one place, and there it stays until you decide what you want to do with it. Someday clutter. Oh, I hear some that's me's up here. Someday clutter. I might need this 4th set of dishes that I just got from my mother-in-law, right? It's okay to say no. That Feng Shui lady said no, no, no. It's okay, yes. So one of the things that now comes the thinking part. And this goes, I can go really much deeper into this, but here's where the connections start to sort of fall into place. You don't have to say this out loud, but where is your clutter? So if your clutter is in the kitchen, it usually means that you want to ask for help, but you can't ask for help. So there's a sort of a deeper reason for where your clutter is. Bedroom clutter, it literally sucks the energy out of a relationship. So if there's a lot of, especially if you're with a partner, and there's 2 of you in the bedroom, and you are you own the home, it's yours, and there's clutter in your bedroom, then it's affecting somebody in both of you, but it's definitely affecting the relationship. Feels heavy, even though the stuff, it just makes the whole space feel heavy. Closet clutter. So you got some stuff going on behind the scenes. Clear out those closets, and sometimes it just reveals itself, and sometimes it's not as painful as you think it is. I'm talking metaphorically, obviously. All right, living room, dining room. This is where this is the community area in Feng Shui. I'm going to talk about yin and yang space in a second. But it indicates the fear of or need for isolation. You're hiding yourself from the world. This woman was in my Feng Shui class, and she said, well, I'm going to this woman's house. She was a designer, and she said, and we're helping this woman because she has, in one room, about 150 plants. Well, in our world, that's clutter. Any 3 of anything is clutter, including cats. No, I'm kidding. So, that's funny. Including cat. All right, 2 max. So 3 of anything, it's considered clutter. You want to rotate your stuff. So anyway, you know, if they went to this woman's house, they were able to help her remove, that's right, like 4 or 5 plants that were dying. So it was much bigger than Feng Shui that this woman was dealing with, obviously. But it affected the people that went in to help her more. They said, we were so frustrated trying to help her work through what it was. But anyway, my point to all of this is that when you're looking at your stuff, 3 of anything, more than 3 of something is too much. Say what? Over. So anyway, so how do you declutter? Well, you could set the house on fire, although you might get caught now that you have it on tape. So there's a whole process to doing this. Like I said, there's lots of books. But number 1 is to declutter, to remove this, and we'll talk more about this. Remove the stuff that's in your house. So start right today. When you go home, what is it? Pick a few things out every day. Start to remove that stuff. Then you're going to organize. You can't, don't think you're going to start organizing a closet before you empty it out. It's just not going to happen. Then you're going to clean. Don't bother cleaning because you're just cleaning around the clutter. Okay, so you got to get rid of the clutter first. Then you're going to call me or call a Feng Shui consultant to help you out with the Feng Shui. And then you repeat. So people will say to me, oh, I Feng Shui 10 years ago and it was great. Now it's just like hanging a picture. It gets dusty, right? You don't even see the picture anymore. So is it important to you? Probably not. So Feng Shui is a moment in time as you're going through, because as you work through your wishes and desires, that changes. You find the perfect man. Now you want to get married, right? So different things happen. So I love the help. All right. So here's this is another woman I worked with. I like to do group consultations where folks who've taken my class, I invite them to work with somebody who is willing to have more than just me come to the consultation. And this is a woman who was just starting up a brand new business. This was her workroom, her office / workroom, and she had a sewing machine in there, and she was doing making napkins and things like that. But when you look really, really close, if I kind of zoomed in on that, we would see that that's actually lots of her family bills are on there, pictures of her kids, her grandkids, the junk drawer is in there, sort of in one of those baskets. So there's a lot of what we call mixed energies. You need to separate that out. Separate your energies. We call yin space and yang space. Yin being like a library, kind of quiet, really organized. Yang space being much more open. Fenway Park, yang space, open and loud. I mean, there's a lot to that, but you want your bedroom to be yin. Maybe you want your living room to be more yang. So there's a way. So anyway, we were looking for more of a yin space so she could work. So much more quiet. Everything has a voice. Everything around you has a voice. And it's yelling to you or quacking at you. So all those papers on your desk, they're all talking to you. All those pictures, we'll talk more about those, they're all saying something. So how do you minimize all the voices in your head, but not really, the voices around you? So here's what she did. She completely simplified and just reorganized, and it's the same stuff except for the family stuff went someplace else, but there's her office. It's in her home. Her business is flourishing. If I had the other side of which I do, but I didn't add it, and you would see that she has a work area, she has an office area. So everything has to have its designed area for what you want to do or what you need. This is the 7 rules to declutter. If you want to take anything down, this is the most important slide. It came from the Western Guide to Feng Shui from Tara Collins. I'm going to go right through it. When you're looking at that paper clip, yeah, take a picture of it. That's even better. Yeah, take a picture if you've got your phone. Or you can get the book. 7 rules. Number 1. Do I love it? And I mean love it. Do I need it? Does it support who I am in my life right now? Does the item rejuvenate, nourish, or inspire me? What thoughts, memories, emotions associated with the item, and are they positive or negative? Do I need to fix it, repair it? Will I fix it now as the chair is leaving my house? My husband's like, that's my favorite chair. True story. I said, it's broken. He said, I'm going to fix it. I said, you said that for 3 years. It went to the neighbors. Is it time to let it go? And am I willing to give it away, lend it, sell it? I know I hope this is all rattling in your head. Are those items? So you're going to go through this list for everything. Be my guest. It's probably the most important slide we have. I will send it to anyone if you want.
Oh, she is.
So, all right.
You can email it to everybody.
There you go. So, any questions about this? What time do I? So I'll give you a quick story of my friend Jeanette, and she's allowed me to say this story, but as I was learning Feng Shui, I needed to practice. So she said, practice in my house. I said, all right. So we went to her new house, new to her, and one of the issues that she had was that she wasn't sleeping at night. She was really struggling. There's a lot of Feng Shui issues, but I'll get to the really important one. So we were walking around her room, and again, you must love it. It must nourish you. You must need it. Go right through the list. And so we're going through her bedroom, and there's a picture of, remember, everything has a voice, right? It's talking. So there's her son-in-law, the baby, there's this whole menagerie of pictures. And I said, well, what do you think, what's your son-in-law doing in your bedroom? Right? She's like, I didn't really know why he's here. I said, well, he really shouldn't be in your bedroom. Neither should your daughter. And the baby, they're just asking you to babysit. Everything has got a voice, right? So they're all just clacking at you all the time. She says. So that, again, the initial issue is I'm not really sleeping well. So look around the room, and I said, well, tell me what's going, I'm a nurse, right? So tell me what's going on over here. She was a nurse too, so tell me what's going on over here. And she said, well, those are 2 urns. It's my dad. And there's the dog. So the dog is barking to go out, and the dad's telling her, you should have been a doctor. I told you shouldn't have been a nurse. You're still working nights. She's like, yeah. Now it really dawns on her. She goes running to her bed. She gets on her knees and she pulls out this old tattered cardboard box, and she says, well, here's a photo album from my first marriage. Who's sleeping under her bed. I said, well, you know what he's telling you, how he goes. So, again, those things, so there's just different ways to handle all. You don't have to get rid of it, but there are different places in your bedroom you'll see is a sacred place. All right. So how do you get started? And this is all in lots of books that you can get. First of all, develop a plan. Short-term, long-term goal. Do I want to move? Do I just want to get rid of stuff? Do I want to feel better in my house? What is your specific goal for wanting to declutter, for wanting to get your spring cleaning started? Your spring cleaning should have started 20 springs ago. All right? Just say it. All right. Choose a starting point. What room is driving you actually you should start at the front door, but what room is really driving you the most crazy? Start with the big stuff. Big stuff, big voice. Right? Chairs that, your husband's chair is broken. Big stuff, big voice. Get rid of it. Amazing how much better you feel. Then get to the paper. The best way to handle paper is to just stack it all the way up and start pulling out. Back in the day, it would be the Sears catalog, all those things, the mail. And that's one voice. Otherwise, you get all these squeaky little voices in your mail, through your mail. Fast or slow. Some people, if you're working with a partner, I know that if I'm working with my husband, he doesn't ever stop. He'll get the whole job done. I flutter like a butterfly. I'll work for 3 minutes, and then it's time for a break. So just know. But it's up to you. But make a plan. Gather your supplies. Some people like to, have your green products. Some people like to have music. If I go through, 3 of Michael Jackson's songs and I know I've done well. Some people like to be in their head and just let their head talk to them. Eat and drink for the task. Really. So pumps and pearls, why not, right? Get the cleaning outfit so you know when you're wearing it. Stay motivated. How do you stay motivated? You get a partner. All right, like Weight Watchers, right? Get a partner. You kind of take each other on the journey, and get a reward for yourself. Start a Facebook page for yourself. Hey, I'm starting this journey of decluttering my house. We're moving in however long. Took us, I'll tell us, 3 years, and I'll get more into this, 3 years to empty the house. And I was a very avid declutterer. I was, every week we sent stuff off to Goodwill or St. Vincent's or whatever, but it took 3 years. So it's really, and again, time to start and share your journey. So again, if you're starting the project, again, this is all in books, but trash bags, the toolbox in case your husband was going to fix the chair. A travel box is, you can use a basket. You know, you go up into the bathroom and there's like all these things that need to be downstairs and you brought them up and you never brought them back down, or room to room. That's what that is. A timer, camera. Take a picture of what you're doing. How else are you going to make yourself feel really good if you're not taking a picture? Back to the cleaning outfit. Nice and smelly candle. This is more important. Set your intention for what you want to do and make it as if it's already happening. I intend to work every day to clean and declutter my home and my life. It's pretty simple, straightforward, as if it's already happening. I clean and declutter my home to clear the way for new opportunities that are going to come my way. My needs are met, and I choose only what is essential for a healthy, happy life. What's your intention for why you want to do this? Why you want to get involved in cleaning and decluttering? Let's talk a little bit about some Feng Shui as we move along here. So entering your home, there are 3 pillars in Feng Shui that we talk about that are the most important places. I'm going to talk specifically about those. Number 1 is your front door. Number 2 is your stove. And number 3 is your bed, the master bed. So your front door is such a metaphor for life. Does it open easily? Or is it stuck? As in a stuck life. I mean, you can just go on and on with all of these, right? It's also the place where this is your front door, architectural front door, okay? So when you walk into the home, you should be, you're transitioning from chi from the outside to the chi of the home, which should be completely different chi. And what is it that you want people to feel when you walk into the home, your home? Do you want them to feel calm and relaxed? Or do you want them to feel a little jittery and you don't want them to stay that long? That's fine, depending on who it is, right? It's okay, but it's based on your intentions of what you want. So what is it, the first thing that you see when you enter your home? Like, is it clutter? Oh, cluttered entryway, again, goes all those metaphors that and that's your career. Usually it's your career area. So that means your career is back, it's stalled. Does the front door close and open freely? In other words, that there's no clutter behind the front door. Is the bell or knocker working? In case opportunity comes knocking, you want to make sure that is, now there's so many ways that you can have a doorbell. Are your hallways free and hallways clutter-free? They say your hallways are like your arteries. All right, I get that. So make sure that your arteries are free, and that there's some doorways, except for the bathroom, that the doorways along the hallways are a little bit open for chi to go make its way around. So the kitchen is a very important area in Feng Shui, particularly the stove. When you're working in a kitchen, there's so much attention that you think that it's going to be a yang area, because that's where everybody gravitates, but it's not. It should be a yin area. Very quiet, very centered towards the cook. The cook needs to be protected in the home, because back in the day, you know, the royal family, well, typical Chinese family, and that this Feng Shui is kind of based on, is mother, father, 3 boys, 3 girls. I think we get a lot more into that, but the family, so the mother that cooked for the husband and the children who went off to school to learn. The husband went off to work, came back, and made money, kept the family prosperous because the food was good. So good food, good health, good wealth. So that is where your stove is that, are you protected from anyone coming up and maybe spilling extra salt, you know, scaring you, woo, and the salt goes in the soup. That's kind of the idea behind it. But the cook should have a view of the entrance of the kitchen, so nobody's sneaking up behind them. How many of you are looking at a wall when you're cooking, or a backsplash? Well, probably everyone, right? Unless you've redone your kitchen and you put your stove on an island. It's like perfect, because you can see and nobody's going to sneak behind you, right? So if you want to reflect what's going on behind you, one of the simple cures they use in Feng Shui is to put a kettle on a shiny kettle, which intentionally is going to, metaphorically, is going to reflect somebody coming behind you. That's very simple. Keep the stove, the oven. You want to respect your stove, like it's a deity. You want to respect your stove because it's your money generator. It makes money for you because, again, good food, good health, good wealth. So if you're not eating properly and you're not using your stove properly, then your money luck is not as beneficial as it could be. So fix your stove if there's anything broken on it. Use all your burners. Hey, if you got 4, you might as well light up all 4. Not at the same time. Everybody else at the same time? No. You can just rotate where you heat up the kettle. People ask me a lot about the color of the kitchen. No need to perseverate on, oh my God, I have to have the perfect color kitchen. Because what you want people to appreciate is the food that you've been cooking. So, oh my God, I love your food, looks so delicious. Not, geez, I like the color you painted your kitchen. Because it's not about the color that you painted the kitchen. It's about the food and the gathering. Keep countertops and surfaces clear. Hide your trash and your knives. Knives are cutting energy, especially if you have one of those knife magnetic. If you find that there's a lot of arguing or in your kitchen, hide the knives. It's sharp cutting energy. That's what it is. Not they're going to kill each other. It's sharp cutting energy. And the trash is basically, you don't want the world to see your trash, right? That's pretty obvious. I mean, you can just cover it. So everything is wrong with this picture. Can you see? I probably should. Way too many plants. It's like a little house of horrors, right? Would you eat a meal there? Would you feel comfortable? If you didn't want people eating there, coming to your house and having a meal, this is your house. There's no place to eat. You eat the plants. If you like it, that's okay. So your dining room is the more yang space, the space where people are coming and gathering. You're inviting them. You don't invite them necessarily into your kitchen. Well, family just goes into the kitchen, but only the cook is in the kitchen. You invite them if you have a dining room. So It's a multi-purpose area. Who has a dining room that they're using as a multi-purpose area? Yeah, some people use the kitchen. So even though you don't use it, you still, or it's being used for crafts or whatever, you want to identify, give it, how do I say this? So give it a purpose. If it's not a dining room, then tell it what it is. You are now my crafts room. Take the chairs out, keep the table, whatever. So you want to give it its identity. Keep the table clear. And here's where you can declutter by getting rid of all of your extra tableware, linens, glass, all your added china. Any organization will take it. Restore. Restore is a good one. They work with Habitat for Humanity. There's organizations, and I'm going to put up, at the end, I'm going to put up an organization called NAPO, the National Organization of Professional Organizers. Who knew that there are people that do this for their job? They know every place of where you can get, bring your stuff and what's important. They know all of that. Don't hang on to it. If you have 8 people coming to your house, so you have a place setting for 12, that's enough, right? Except for your holiday dishes, those you can keep. But there's no need. If you got everything, we call this predecessor chi. Predecessor chi is the energy that comes with that item if it's given to you. If you're holding on to your, I'm going to use the mother-in-law because I am one, so that's okay. If you're holding on to your mother-in-law's dishes and she really wasn't your favorite person and you never use them, give them away. They lose the energy when you, well, if you gave them to me, I'd have to like space clear them and all of that. But because they are coming with energy, but you can just give them to whoever in an organization. Don't tell them they came from your mother-in-law. What else? Linens, tablecloth. I mean, there's so many things that we have that we don't, glass dishes that you don't really need. Your living room is shared space. It's another space where you invite, usually it's in the front of the house, you invite people into the living room. It's seen by others, and this is the space where you put, if I went into your living room, I should see exactly what your family's all about. Oh, you folks like to ski, or you like to go to antique shopping, or whatever it is about your family should be represented in the living room, which is, again, seen by the public. So back to in that space, some people have lots and lots of books that you don't need. How many of you are hanging on to books? Don't tell me textbooks, because all those are like 5 years and they're way gone. There are organizations that will take your textbooks, by the way. NAPO will have that list, yes, absolutely. So it's all okay. So back to the husband, he hung on to these albums for like years and years, and we moved a lot in this period of time. So those albums just kept moving and moving with us, and finally he goes, I'm going to get rid of them. I know there's one of them in there that's worth $1 million. That perfect cover. There wasn't anything in the guy, so he brought it to this gentleman. He goes, yeah, I think we can probably get $1 for the whole box of them. He was like, oh, it's funny. Again, look at your furniture. Is it too big, too heavy, too small for the space? Artwork that doesn't reflect your interests or desires. Limit collections. We talked about this. Actually, this was in Salem. Actually, I worked with a nurse that I used to work with, who's now a nurse, and she had heard about Feng Shui, and I went over to her place, and she said, so here's my concern. She said, my family, who mostly live downstairs, when they come up, she said they stay a long time. They don't go home. She said, my husband and I now, we're empty nesters, and her mom and her dad and her older brother, who still lived with the mom and dad. She said they come upstairs and, they like camp out. And I said, well, so I look around and I said, well, tell me about your living room. Tell me about these chairs. Because there's like all these mismatched chairs. And she said, well, she said, each one of these chairs came from the sidewalk. And each one is either for my mom, my dad, or my brother, or these, other people. And there's like these big stuffed chairs in this little tiny room. I said, well, if you want them to not linger, get rid of the chairs. You don't have to say anything to them, just that you're downsizing the living room. You get rid of the chairs and just put comfortable folding chairs. You don't have to have the big fight. And they're not staying because when their butt gets sore, they're going down to their own comfortable chair. And you don't have to feed them. She did do it, and yes, of course it worked. If you can't, if you're not lounging and, your sister's bringing you food and taking care of your mom and dad. So watch your furniture. This is about the specific furniture. Does it bash, bite, or poke? If you're wondering about where folks won't sit in a certain seat, there's generally a reason why. If spaces under rugs are, designers will tell you rugs should be either under all the furniture or like under just the table or whatever. So just sometimes you just need to ground a space that might feel like it's floating. Talk about safe seating. I'm not going to get a lot into that because we don't have a whole lot of time. But what it means is that you want to be able to, there are spaces in your home, your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, that are more powerful than other spaces. We call it the commanding position. And I don't have time to talk a lot about it, but you can power up or power down a particular person. So if you invite somebody to sit in this particular chair, and maybe it's not a power chair, then I'm going to pick on the mother-in-law, you've now taken care of your mother-in-law because she's not sitting in the powerful chair. Look around your room where people sit and chairs that they choose, and there are chairs that are more powerful than others. If you can see the door and there's a support behind you, so usually it's a wall, you can see the door, and there's some other sort of factors involved, but those are the power positions. All right, it's like sitting at the head of the table. So that's safe seating. Limit pillows on furniture. And designers love pillows. What is that? I never move first of all, they're dust collectors, right? That's me personally. They're dust collectors. I respect any designers in the room, but really, how many pillows do you need? Now, because I don't have long legs, great. I want one just so I can put it in the back and sit. But for the most part, they're just taking out some cheap, and people won't sit necessarily if there's a pillow. They'll just throw them on the floor. Same with your bed too. Limit chatty possessions, and everything's chatting, but a lot of times if you have a lot of bookshelves, what are the books that are hanging around? I mean, if they're all World War II books and there's a lot of activity that maybe in that room that's a little uncomfortable, maybe you want to move the World War II books. Okay. Electronics, best if they're in a cabinet, but a lot of times they're not. Let's talk about, that picture's not terrific. Anyway, master bedroom. So regardless of whether or not there's a partner in there with you, if you own the home, you are the master of your bedroom. You are the king or the queen or the king and queen of your space. Only 3 things happen in your bedroom: sleep, rest, and intimacy. Anything else doesn't belong there. All right? So the exercise equipment, the desk, the ironing board, the TV, the computer, right. Now, if the room's big enough, we can work it so that there's yin space and yang space, and we can sort of work that. But if it's a small room, it doesn't really belong there. All right. Oh, that's funny. All right. So, these are some Feng Shui principles to think about, because your bed is such a powerful Feng Shui tool to help you for the next day in terms of, one, energy, you're sleeping, hopefully, and energy is moving around you through the night and like rehydrating you for the morning. That's what it does. All right? So keep space under the bed clear. Sure.
I'll give you my email address.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. If in fact you are seeking a pregnancy, do not clean or vacuum, well, remove everything, but do not disrupt underneath your bed. No vacuuming, no cleaning, no sweeping. And if you don't want, get under there and stuff everything. So finally my son-in-law says to me, so after their baby was born, no, can I vacuum under the bed? I go, yes. He had to buy into all of this. Yes, indeed, you can vacuum under your bed.
Why?
Because it's all about connections here. So you don't want to disrupt any sort of connections. Right? So that's what it's all about. Connections. Huh? Yes. Discard jewelry that doesn't make you happy, especially if it's in your bedroom. That old boyfriend's jewelry, the ex-husband, whatever. Remove negative, what do I mean by negative clothing? That's pretty funny. You know that size 6 pair of jeans in the closet? What's it saying to you? Saying to you? Saying, yeah, right, you're never going to fit into those. Keep dreaming. It's not going to happen. You can buy them. Somebody said once that if you just get rid of or discard something that you think you might need, it's going to come back to you. Maybe not in the same form, but it will come back to you. True story. I always go to the same place to St. Vincent's up in New Hampshire. And I was like, geez, you know those pair of jeans that were lined? I lost a few pounds. I bet those will fit me now. No lie, they were on the rack. And this was years. I'm like, how did those get there? They were mine. And they fit for about a week and a half, and then they didn't fit anymore. So they went back. Remove furniture, again, too big or too small. Eliminate exercise equipment. If you got kids in your room, not the best idea. Especially if you have kids now in your room, we're all in trouble, right? Yeah, I would say dogs are good, kids are bad. Only because my dog stays in our room, so. Cats are fine. Cats are fine. Anyway, so try not to, mirrors disrupt chi. There's a lot about mirrors in Feng Shui. It disrupts chi. So best, you don't have any mirrors in your room. Best, yes. You can, better if you have one that you don't see it from the bed. So if it's off to the side and you don't see it. And the other thing about mirrors is that it adds an extra person to the relationship. I'm just saying. Because when you're looking in there, there's two, right? And the partner. So I'm not taking any chances. The mirrors are all out of the bedroom.
There goes my sailing.
Well played. No one's ever said that before. Excellent. It's awesome.
You know,
That's great. TV and electronics. What I usually say is Feng Shui works with the cycle of the moon and the sun. So you basically want to put your house to sleep at night. You go through, you lock the doors, you pull the shades, close the curtains. Hopefully you put your house to sleep. And the same with your electronics. So if you have to have a mirror in your bedroom, what I say is, and you're not sleeping, I always have that caveat. If you're not sleeping, then just put a scarf over it. That's all right, that's fine. If you're sleeping, don't do anything. Just sleep peacefully while the rest of us are worried about you. No, not really. So bed placement in the room, supportive for sleeping, commanding position. Again, that when you're in the bed, that you can see the entrance to the room. Really important. Yes, so supportive behind you and that you can see the entrance. So this is the door. We'll use the entrance to this room, and right here would be a good spot. Because it's about safety. For one thing, you want to see who's coming into your space. You can do that, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, well then there's these little Feng Shui cures or things that we can do. Don't worry, we can cure just about anything. Whether your intention is to find a partner or you have a partner, think in twos, think in doubles. You want 2 bedside tables, 2 pillows, 2 of the same size lamps. Think in twos. Because you're setting the intention that there's going to be a partner joining you, or maybe you have a partner joining you, but it's an equal relationship. So be very careful about your bedroom and what you're putting in there, and how it's organized. So I had, I see some questioning faces. Let me just put it to you in a quick story. I won't go through the whole, this downtown Boston, beautiful brownstone, 5 stories. This couple lived in the bottom 3. Truly struggling in the relationship, and she wasn't quite sure what was happening. So we went down into their space, into their bedroom, which is down on the bottom floor, with the office, and we're talking about mixing energies. They worked together, and their office was down there. So her side was bookshelves that had like her knitting or this and all of this, big tall bookshelf. And he had a picture of a train, like a fast train going to I don't know where. So it was just so interesting, the energies, where her energy was more quiet and sedate and sort of, I'm going to, matronly, but I don't know if that's the exact word. And his energy was, I want to be on the train and I'm out of here, as I looked at it. So we just sort of talked about those different energies. So equal energies for both partners, both relationships. And no photos of your children, grandchildren, parents. Whoop, they're all out of there.
Is that, you want all the children's pictures out?
Well, do you want them in, what are they saying to you at night? Grammy, come and get me, mommy, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, that's a good question.
Also, what kind of electronics besides the TV are you
Well, if you're affected by the EMF, the electromagnetic fields, you don't want anything around you. It should be like an arm's length away from you. Some people are not as affected as other people by it, like where the electricity is coming into the house. But that's what I mean by electronics, your computer or whatever.
cell phones, because we're always using cell phones now.
Yeah, I keep your cell phone away as much, like again, arm's length away in the garage. So artwork from other people or artwork from, do you love it? Well, it depends on who it is. Yeah, then it's fine. As long as it has no emotional connection for you. Except you love it. Yeah. So items only that celebrate you and your relationship.
Why not focus on collections?
Again, everything has a voice. Just think about it. It's all chatty items. You can have a couple of books if you want, right, that you're reading. That's fine. But if you have a whole collection. So I had a client that had, the only place to put her bookcase was in her bedroom. And she just got a screen and just screened them in. And then she felt like now she had this quiet space. Because, the idea is that only sleep, rest, and intimacy. Reading wasn't in there. Unless you can read in your bed. I'm just kidding. But, But that's it. So this is a great example that I had that actually worked on a rare time. I get to work with designers when they really want to learn about Feng Shui. And interesting thing, we're going to talk about intention. What do you think about that space? Interesting. Keep going. Everything has a story, right? Go ahead.
Calming, like blue calm.
Keep going. Yeah, trash. Yeah. But this is this was a relationship that dissolved after many, many years. And this was a healing space for her. And it was very purposefully designed for her to have just a place to kind of settle and wait for her new path, her new journey. And then, so this was on, like, I don't know, it was like the fifth, I don't know, no, let me think it was like the 17th or 18th floor in this beautiful place. And she called me a few years later and said, okay, all healed. I am all healed, and now I'm looking for, like, I guess her ex-husband was on, like, I don't know, the 27th floor. And she said, so I'm going higher. I want to be looking down on him. It was funny. She did, too.
And she kept the 2 pillows.
And she kept, well, she would, yeah. Well, again, because her desire was for a future relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And again, keep the kids out of the room.
So I can put my mirrors back up.
You can put your mirrors back up. That's right. All right. So somebody talked about basement. It's asked about basement. So your basement is your those of you who have basement, to get a good footing in your life. So if you're kind of feeling like you're kind of walking on air, you want to look at what's going on in your basement. Just really clean that. I mean, that's a huge project, but get that basement cleaned out. And the attic is your potential. It's the space where you're kind of hiding some of your things. It says purchases, but you're waiting. How about baggage? How much baggage do we? How many suitcases do we need? You need one. It has to be this big, right? Because he doesn't fit anywhere. So look at how much stuff that you have. I mean, this is all part of it. All right. So in your basement and your attic, just like everywhere, you want to make every room alive, including your basement or attic. If you go into my basement, I got wind chimes. Because, why not? There's no wind. But I know they're there. I know they're there. That's good. All right, downsizing. I'll tell our story of downsizing. Somebody had said, can you talk a little bit about downsizing? So we moved after 17 years in our family home that we bought. And there's sort of a lot to this story in that this house it was an old farmhouse. Yeah, right. It loved us. It was so good to us. My kids were happy and healthy. But the house was the money pit. That house, it still had the knob and tubing, electrical, so everything that we did was like 10 times more, of course, if you've an old home, you know what I mean. That was never just, oh, let's replace this light. It was, let's replace all the electrical, and now all the lights have to get replaced. It was, anyway. So it was a process. So we knew we were probably going to be moving. And 3 years before we started, including that, my husband's favorite chair, started to put things on Craigslist. Now you have that New Hampshire online, or New Hampshire, whatever town you live in, Burlington, yard sale online. There's lots of places that you can start to move your stuff out of your house. And so we really worked at it. Now this, again, I worked, every week we would take things to St. Vincent's. My kids were, working at sort of decluttering. However, my best move was for Christmas a couple years before. They were now grown, had finished college, moving out of the house or soon to be. So for Christmas, they got clear, empty containers with big red bows on them. And I said, guess what? You're spending your vacation up in your rooms, and you're going to clean out your rooms. Keep only what you want in these containers. And it was kind of amazing what they kept and didn't keep. Yeah, that leather jacket that you pay a whole lot of money for was left behind. So, but you know what? It's their choice. And I let it be their choice. So my daughter took hers, with her. Off she went. My son, he lived out of state, but it lingered. And it kept moving with us. And I thought, this was not my intention. My intention was for him to have. So we went to his house, his apartment for Thanksgiving. So I brought literally, and he lived in Virginia, brought the turkey. We go up the stairs with the turkey, we got the beer, bring the beer. And all of a sudden we come in and he sees the container, he goes, oh, I can't believe you brought that. I go, oh yeah, now it's moving with you every place you go. But it's their process. They have to work at it. You do not have to keep their stuff and pay a mortgage on their stuff. It's their stuff. It's okay to, tell them to shift it and move it. So as we sort of go through this process, now it's moving day. And the very last thing, and this is like, again, it's a 3-year process. We're moving in from a family home with 4 bedrooms to a bedroom apartment that was like less than half the size. And my husband is looking, and there's 420 all circled extension cords, for the Christmas lights and this and that. And my daughter, who is, says, hey, Dad, pick 3. We're out of here. And he did. He picked 3, and the rest of them went on the sidewalk. That was all we could do. So, and when my in-laws moved to Florida, my husband had explicit directions. Don't bring anything home. So my father-in-law was bringing all the things to my husband's car, and my husband would take all the things and bring them back. And I guess this went on all day. Well, he came home, and he had, no lie, 42 ice scrapers and a gun. It was like one of those rifles, 22, no, we're in Massachusetts. We're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do with this? But he had to give it to her. He's like, oh my God. So we moved to New Hampshire, where it's okay. Take it up to New Hampshire. So, but there was the amount of stuff he would have come home with, because they could not really part with their thinking that your kids don't want your stuff. I have head shakes. I'm telling you, especially millennials, they don't want it. They want their own life. They want their own stuff. It's much more disposable than what you're used to, we were used to growing up with. So don't think that you're saving whatever that is. I said to my daughter, what do you want? She wanted, believe it or not, there was one picture where all of us had spoons on our nose. That's it. Now, out of all the things, and that's what she has, and it's hanging up in her house. And I do not ask her to take anything else, because that's it. So the biggest gift that you can do for your children right now is to get rid of your stuff, because they're going to have to do it. And I don't think I have it on here. So I have a funny little, those Hummels, right? Oh, and there's this little cartoon. It says, oh, thank God Mom gave us left these Hummels for us. And they're skeet shooting with the Hummels. Because it means nothing to them. Nothing. I don't know how to do.
I have a question.
Sure.
My daughter got married almost 5 years ago.
Yeah?
She still have her wedding gifts in her bedroom. She's an occupational travel one.
Yeah.
She finally bought a house in Colorado 2 months ago.
Yeah?
What the hell do I do with the stuff? It's still sitting there.
Ship it out. Ship it out. Absolutely. Tell her you're downsizing, and the project is for you to remove that stuff from your, but that's a great question. There's a function, I'm going to get to questions in a second, but Feng Shui secret, you want to start the process, move 27 things in 9 days. Just start to move that energy. I'm just going to leave this up. If you really are struggling before you need the Feng Shui consultant, you're going to want to call NAPO.